Hello everyone, welcome to Yuan Production. So, this is not a proper video essay, but more like a personal rant. But a few weeks before, I was looking for something to watch, and then I stumbled upon this new Korean drama on Amazon Prime called The Death Game. I actually saw some posts on social media recommending it. Many people gave very generous reviews, mentioning that they cried while watching the show, the acting is remarkable, the story was gripping and emotional. I was very intrigued and decided to give it a watch. And my final thought about the show is, I did not like it at all. And here is my 5-minute rant about why Death Game is a problematic show. Death Game is a fantasy show adapted from a webtoon series. The manga was originally published from 2019 to 2020, and because of its popularity, it has been translated to many other languages. The series and the manga share the same title in Korean, 이제 곧 죽습니다, and it means now I am going to die. So to give you guys a little bit of basic plot, the main protagonist, Choi Ije, is a very unlucky young man. Trapped in student loans and other financial difficulties, he's hustling among several part-time jobs just to make ends meet. However, after being scammed by his most trusted friend, after breaking up with his long-term girlfriend, after getting kicked out by the landlord, and being rejected by his dream company the second time, Choi Ije feels that he has lost everything in life, and he decides to jump from the rooftop. But then he wakes up in someone else's body on a private jet to meet the Death, who is a powerful figure that decides to reincarnate Choi Ije 12 times as a punishment. And Choi Ije's main mission, to avoid being killed. The main plot follows Choi Ije in 12 different bodies, while he is still entangled with his mom and ex-girlfriend from the previous life. First of all, I want to say that this show is popular for a reason. It has all the essential elements to attract audiences. It has murder mysteries, you have 2 psychopathic killers, it has thrilling action scenes, it has fantasy elements, it has romance, and you also get to see some family bonding moments. But what I don't like is this show's underlying belief. It is very clear that this show tries to encourage people, don't kill yourself. You are unique. There are supporters around you. But in order to encourage people to value their lives, the show condemns the act of committing suicide. It makes suicide a selfish, reckless action that has many negative impacts. And you can see that from the very first quote in the first episode. Hardest of deaths to a mortal is the death he sees ahead. This is a quote made by the 5th century Greek lyric poet Bacchylides, which means a foreseeable death is much more painful and distressing than an unexpected one. If you watch this show, you would notice that Death Game has many religious elements. It shows hell, a place filled with lava, dreadful torments, shadows of the dead. It has a god. According to Death, is a merciful supreme being who granted humans the privilege to die only once. The mysterious Death, who reincarnates Choi Ije with a loaded handgun, seems to be one of the god's servants that takes souls from the deceased, and it punishes people for their sins. Similar demonic presences are also seen in some religious beliefs, often serving as the angel of death or the angel of destruction, who escorts souls to the underworld. In the Death Game, Choi Ije reincarnated 12 times, and if you add the time that he jumped from the rooftop, that's 13 times of death in total. As we all know, 13 is always the unlucky number in Western religious beliefs. Judas Iscariot was the 13th guest to arrive at the Last Supper, who betrayed Jesus by exposing his whereabouts to the chief priests and elders. In Norse mythology, Loki, who shot Balder the Beautiful, a god who represents beauty and just, at a dinner party, was also the 13th guest. It is obvious that the creators of Death Game got their inspirations from Christianity or Judaism. And within this religious concept, committing suicide is a sin, because we are the creation of God, and as God's faithful servants, our lives are not in our hands. Only God gets to determine our endings. We can see Choi Ije is a sinful character from his conversation with Death. When Choi-jae questions why he has to go to hell, Des replied,
내가 무슨 죄를 지었다고 그곳에 가는 거야!
내가 너를 찾아가기 전 먼저 나를 만나러 온 죄.
So, Choi-jae needs to be punished for his sin. Not only did he disobey the natural order of God, but he also mocked death in his will. In order to show how scary and painful death can be before he goes to hell, Choi-jae died in 12 gruesome ways. He got killed by the explosion from a plane crash. He smashed his face from skydiving. He was dismembered by a serial killer. In the meantime, Des keeps guilt-tripping him by using his mom, his girlfriend, and the 12 souls. For Des, people who have suicidal thoughts are sinful. They're selfish, irresponsible, they never think of their family members. When Choi-jae couldn't save a young person's life in his 5th reincarnation, Des mocks Trey for being ignorant.
죽음을 피할 수 있었는데 죽은 여자의 가족은 생각하지 못했을 뿐이에요. 그 당연한 걸.
생각 못했겠지. 넌 남겨진 가족의 슬픔까진 생각 못하는 이기적인 놈이니까.
When he was killed as an infant by his abusive parents, Des gives him another lecture about valuing life.
세상에 당연한 건 없어. 네가 그동안 모든 걸 당연한 듯 받았을 뿐이야. 그리고 네가 그렇게 하찮게 여겼던 삶과 죽음을 그 아기는 선택조차 할 수 없었어. 그런 자들이 세상엔 아주 많지.
What Des said actually reminds me of those cliché things people say to dismiss other people who have suicidal thoughts. You're so lucky you have so much. Look what your family has done for you. Whatever you're experiencing right now, it's really not a big deal. You just need to toughen up.
희망이 안 보여. 스스로 죽었다.
뭐 잘못됐어요? 제가 누군가한테 피해를 준 것도 아니잖아요.
다시 생각해봐. 정말 피해를 준 게 없는지.
During the last few reincarnations, Das makes Choi-jae to frequently encounter his mom and girlfriend, so he has the chance to hear how his girlfriend cried her eyes out at the hospital. So he gets to witness his mom carefully caressing his memorial. He was even thrust into his mom's body in the last episode, so he gets to experience the trauma that he caused the family. For Choi-jae, writers give him the perfect mom and girlfriend. His girlfriend is loyal, understanding. His mom is the stereotypical East Asian mom that always sacrifices everything for her son. But these one-dimensional, flawless characters doubles the weight of the guilt. It makes Choi-jae's suicide look even worse. Because how can you even have the slightest negative thought when your mom and a girlfriend supporting you like this? Another interesting thing that I noticed is that characters who committed suicide in this show, they all triggered different negative butterfly effects. In Choi-jae's 11th reincarnation, he becomes a middle-aged office man who works in a cubicle. After being fired from the company and separated from his wife, he decided to kill himself by running into the middle of the road and he got hit by a car. The driver is Park Tae-woo, the CEO of a large company that Choi-jae wants to get in. The office man's death makes Park Tae-woo realize how much he loves the feeling of murdering. This becomes Park Tae-woo's first kill, and also the pivotal moment that turns him into a serial killer. The office man's suicide also caused the failure of Choi-jae's first job interview. Because he was so traumatized as the witness of this car accident, he failed to answer any questions. After he tanked the interview, Choi-jae had to hustle another 7 years to get another chance to apply for the same company. Our main protagonist, Choi-jae's suicide, put his mom and girlfriend's lives in agony. The show actually spends a lot of time depicting that. The third character that might have committed suicide is the woman who jumped from the floor in front of the painter Jung Gu-chul. Jung Gu-chul's killer instinct is triggered by her dying process, and her death inspired his very first successful painting. Later on, he starts to kidnap different victims for his artwork. Even though the show never explicitly stated the woman killed herself, but I did find one English article stated that it was a suicide. So let's just say that there is a possibility.
잠깐만.
From this show, it appears that committing suicide has extreme consequences. It sends you to hell. It leaves immense pain to your partners and families. It even creates potential serial killers. But why does this show keep blaming and guilt-tripping Treiji? Is it really all his fault? In fact, I believe many audiences could resonate with Treiji's struggles when they see that he couldn't land a proper job 7 years after his study, and when they watch the part where Treiji is crying and screaming over all the money that he lost to his scammer friend. All of these could happen to anyone, but unfortunately, Treiji's struggles are never truly understood in this show. Des condescending remarks and Treiji's devastated family members are simply repeating those general beliefs that we already know. Committing suicide is terrible. Committing suicide leaves tremendous sufferings to our loved ones. There are other ways to solve our current struggles. But based on one BBC article in South Korea, more than 35 people take their own lives every day, and suicide is the leading cause of death among those aged 10 to 39. Does this mean that most of these young people are self-centered, fragile, and lack gratitude? Of course not. There are so many factors that contribute to the high suicide rate in South Korea. The intense education system, the hyper-competitive job market, the big gap between the rich and poor, the apathetic, individualistic culture. And if you are talking about suicide on a personal level, it could be a toxic family environment, a toxic workplace, it could be that your loved ones passed away. As a show that explores the concept of death, suicide, and afterlife, Death Game fails to explore the deeper causes behind suicide. What's worse is that instead of showing empathy to people with suicidal thoughts, it emphasizes the debt that a person owes to their family members, their partners, and their friends once they commit suicide. In the last episode, the ending message written on the screen says, "You are a very unique existence on Earth." This encouraging message reminds me of the Mapo Bridge project that happened in 2012.
최근 생명의 다리로 거듭나기 위해
다리가 다정하게 말을 거는 시 이렇게 네 개 말을 거는 듯한
In order to prevent people from jumping off the bridge, the Seoul city government teamed up with Samsung Life Insurance and installed interactive handrails on the bridge. Once activated, passengers can see short inspirational messages and photos of happy families. But according to a Wall Street Journal article published in 2013, there were more than 60 people who attempted to kill themselves in the first year of the bridge's renovation, exceeding the number of suicide attempts in the previous year. Perhaps sometimes those images and positive messages only remind people of what they don't have. Indeed, it is very difficult to prevent suicide. I do not have the perfect answer for it, but acknowledging people's feelings and struggles is probably better than just guilt-tripping or sending out positive messages like this. So, what do you think about this show? Do you agree with me, or do you think that I'm just a hater? Please share your thoughts down below, and I will see you next time.